Teachers' salaries were very low, they were known to be strict, and they were almost always women and widows. Curriculum consisted of mostly religious things, and they were taught from the Bible, a primer, and a hornbook. For reading and writing, quill pens were used. Children learned to read more religious things like the Bible, and the primary purpose of learning how to read was to read the Bible. Many African American children went unschooled. Literacy rates were lower in the South, and Native American education relied on oral tradition, not written word. It was required that all New England villages of 50 families or more hire a teacher for reading and writing. Towns that grew to 100 families or more were also required to set up a Latin grammar school to prepare young men for college. Most importantly, she wanted females to have a rightful decision. Her primary goal was to provide educational programs that would vindicate the equality of female intellect, and she established the Litchfield Academy. Ben Franklin thought education was critical, and his goal for education was to expand it in all ways. He founded the University of Philadelphia, and he is honored for his educational institutions. Jefferson believed in the education of the common man as the most effective means of preserving the democratic ideal. He consistently advocated for free public education, and he established the University of Virginia. Webster is known for Webster's Blue Books. His goal was to promote a curriculum that advocated the ideals of democracy and independence from England through textbooks.
The Common School movement paved the way for free public school in the 19th century. Horace Mann, the father of the Common School movement, he led the charge for creating tax-supported elementary schools on the idea that education should be available to all citizens. The McGuffey readers were the first of their kind, being a complete language arts curriculum that incorporated spelling, comprehension, and word studies. The Morrill Land Grant Act provided land for states to either sell or rent in order to raise funds for the establishment of colleges of agricultural and mechanical arts. Compulsory education laws required common school attendance. More students attended school and created need for management because of higher attendance. Booker T. Washington founded the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama, which focused on training African Americans in agricultural pursuits. W.E.B. Du Bois advocated higher education for African American people, especially for men who would be groomed for leadership positions. There are two important professional organizations of teaching, the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. The NEA created the Committee of 10, which focused on the organization of high school curriculum into 9 parts. They also created the Committee of 15 that focused on the curriculum for elementary schools. The Committee of 10 began to reform secondary schools in the U.S. by segmenting topics. There were many women pioneers in the teaching profession. They wanted to create a profession for females that would be just as prestigious as other fields of study were for men.
Educational progressivism is the belief that education must be based on the principle that humans are social animals who learn best in real-life activities with other people. John Dewey's laboratory school was an experimental education based on the original laboratory school run by John Dewey at the University of Chicago. The Montessori method of education, developed by Maria Montessori, is a child-centered educational approach based on scientific observations of children from birth to adulthood. The lasting impact on practice and instructional methodology, people such as John Dewey and Maria Montessori believed that education should be responsive to the needs and interests of children. Education for immigrants and minorities has never been as equal to other students. Minorities and immigrants sometimes need extra help in school, and they should have the resources they need to succeed in school. Mary McLeod Bethune was an American educator, stateswoman, philanthropist, humanitarian, and civil rights activist, best known for starting a private school for African American students in Daytona Beach, Florida. World War II had two influences on education: the GI Bill, which benefit is designed to help service members with the cost of college and training, and the Lanham Act, which helps with the need for federal assistance toward other community facilities. The National Defense Education Act provided federal funding to ensure trained manpower of sufficient quality and quantity to meet the national defense needs of the United States. School desegregation started with the court case of Brown v. Board of Education, which the Supreme Court ruled that segregation in schools is unconstitutional. Elementary and Secondary Act emphasizes high standards and accountability. As mandated in the Act, funds are authorized for professional development, instructional materials, resources to support educational programs, and the promotion of parental involvement.
Title VII recognizes the needs of students with limited English speaking ability. Title IX. No person based on sex should be subjected to discrimination under any education program. Education for all handicapped children guaranteed a free, appropriate education to each child with a disability. Free and least restrictive. Students with disabilities should be educated with students without disabilities to the appropriate extent. Nation at Risk is the report of President Reagan's National Commission on Excellence in Education that started a wave of reform efforts. Paideia Proposal is a system of education intended for all children, including those who will never attend a university. The 1990s focused on restructuring schools in ways that supported student learning. Common Core is a set of educational standards for teaching and testing between kindergarten and 12th grade. Race to the Top is a grant created to spur and reward innovation and reforms in state and local district K-12 education. No Child Left Behind held schools accountable for how kids learned and achieved. Every Student Succeeds builds on key areas of progress in recent years. American Reinvestment and Recovery Act of 2009 is to be used for modernization, repairs, and to prevent teacher layoffs.